The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of loving you. No pills gonna cure my ill. I got a bad case of loving you.
From the couch with Dr. Marielle McKinley, and tonight we have a really special guest. She's a world-renowned TEDx speaker. She's also a professor, and she teaches public speaking, amongst other wonderful subject matters. And she is a renowned author of The Random Acts of Kindness Are Changing the World book, and of her newest book, which is Dogs and Roses. Oh, it looks like we have a caller already. And it's for Rosalyn Kahn, who's our guest, and I'm taking the first caller. Hello, welcome to Conversations with Dr. Marielle McKinley.
Hello? Good afternoon, Dr. McKinley. Good afternoon.
Well, hello, is this KB?
You got it.
Well, hello, KB. How are you?
Doing great. Look, I just want to tell you one thing. I'm going to sit back tonight. I'm going to enjoy the show. I'll tell you what, you got one of the best shows on the internet, on the radio, bar none. And like I said, the guys are sitting around tonight from WHAN Radio, Animal Talk Radio. We're sitting around watching. We're enjoying it. So we're going to kick back, relax, and enjoy your show. And hey, guys, do me a favor from KB and Big Ray. Don't touch that dial. Don't go anywhere. Keep it where you got it. And keep on watching. Dr.
You're so sweet, KB. KB was on the show. This is Ken Ballows. Oh, thank you. He was on the show, what was it, about 2 months ago or so. And we're going to have him back as a special guest star co-host. Well, thank you, KB. Enjoy the show. Say hi to Big Ray and everybody. And we'll kick it off now. Okay. Right. Bye-bye. Thank you. Okay, so welcome to Rosalyn Kahn. Rosalyn. You're on the air.
Good evening. It's great to be on your show. Thank you so much. Love that, KB. Love that energy there. Woohoo, the Animal Network. Woohoo, woohoo.
It's not the Animal Network, but after the other night, we had so much fun, didn't we?
Oh, my God. That was such a crack and a half. I mean, I've never had so much fun in my life laughing so hard.
Well, Rosalyn had done a book signing, okay, for her Dogs and Roses book. And my mother, Betty Lou McKinley, it turns out is like her biggest fan. Rosalyn had sent me her books. And I said, Mom, you might like this Dogs and Roses book. It is a lovely book. Rosalyn took the pictures that are in there. It's not like colored or animated. They're real pictures of the cutest doggies and of beautiful roses. They're not, are there any pictures with dogs and roses at the same time? I don't remember. There's so many beautiful pictures.
There's a few of them.
There's such cute pictures. And we're big dog lovers here and all, and rose lovers. So my mom went out and bought, like a dozen roses for our family members that had come over. And it inspired her. And then she's like, I want to buy 3 more of these books for our relatives, So then Rosalyn comes over after the book signing. Mom went to the book signing, then buys one for her friend that she brought there for Agnes, who, by the way, loves you, Rosalyn.
Oh, my God. She was so sweet. I so much enjoyed meeting the two of them. It's just like, seniors are my best friends and no one knows about it. But when I'm around them, it just puts lights on my faces. It just really does. They were great. Love and respect to both of them. Oh,
well, my mom and I both had the greatest time when you came over. It was so much fun. We had her over for dinner. And then when she said, well, I'm going to buy another book, Rosalyn's like, would you mind if I film you, Betty Lou? And my mom was wearing this red shirt, and I'm not going to say her age because she doesn't like saying, this is my such and such year old mom. But let me tell you, people, she's a miracle, and she's amazing. So she had her, I go, Mom, go put your lipstick on. And she's standing in front of the roses. Oh, and I bought roses for Rosalyn for her book signing and all. So anyway, we had all these roses. And the doggy, before that, what had happened was, I had but Rosalyn fell in love with my dog, Mia. So we took her for a walk across the street at the San Fernando Mission Brand Park, which has a gorgeous rose garden. And so when we came back, the dog was so tired because my mom had taken her on like a 45-minute walk. And so she's hiding under the couch, right? And so it's like, well, put the dog in your arms, you know, for this little commercial, right? So the dog, she didn't want to come out from under the couch. So I gave her a doggy massage like for the last 2 days. So then my mom does a cute little commercial and about her dogs and roses, but so we're posting it, and I don't know how to work, or I didn't know how to work Instagram. And Rosalyn, you taught me within seconds. I've been trying to learn that for 3 years.
Joke of the world. Rosalyn teaching anybody about computers. Wow, mark that one down in history. But
Yeah, yeah, exactly, because I had to help you with stuff. So then, in so doing, she's saying, well, what should I say, you know, in this video? I said, well, my mother's a world traveler, you know, and she's a social media influencer. So put senior social media influencer. And then Rosalyn had the great idea about the dogs of Instagram. So she puts hashtag social media influencer of Betty Lou McKinley, you know, world traveler. What were some of the other things? Because I told you had dinner.
She was the driver for the Olympics.
Oh yeah, she was the driver for the Olympics, the LA Olympics.
She is the person who goes when they have the forest fires, and she's the one who drives the fire.
Well, I know my mom does that, but what is it that you put? Like something about emergency fire driver. What was? What was it?
Emergency support for fires, and she climbed Mount Whitney 3 times. I mean, people her age climbing Mount Whitney. My husband's only did it 1 time. I mean, I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, she climbed Mount Whitney 3 times. So I said, well, she's also a chef, and she's kind of a comedian. I said, no, don't put that, because I don't want to offend her, because she's not a professional comedian, but she could be. And so we were coming up with she's teaching me about hashtags for Instagram. Because I didn't know really what all that hashtag stuff was, honest to God, even with the worldwide digital show. And I didn't know. I'm used to doing FM, AM. This is better, though. It's a better, bigger platform. So shout out to all our live listeners. Anyway, so she says, think of different groups. Because on Instagram, you got to do this hashtag thing, and it'll go to all these different groups. So, I said, oh, how about this? How about that? And she's putting like regular kind of stuff. And then we started joking around. And Rosalyn, you had me laughing so hard I had to leave the house and go out on the front porch for as KB would call it, a breathing treatment. So what was some of the stuff we're saying? Like, hashtag, I said, why don't you put the fire department and ambulance chasers and, this or that and the other. We're putting down federal agents, and then we're doing like, what were some of the funny things that we put, like some of the most bizarre stuff that, like we were watching, my mom was watching baseball, so I'm putting, professional baseball, hashtag professional baseball players. Like we were coming up with the craziest stuff. It was so much fun. I have not laughed like that in so long. I didn't know that side of you. And it's just so lovely. Yeah.
Plus we got the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Coast Guard.
And then I said, do the Army, Navy, and Marines. And she goes, well, why don't we do the Coast Guard? And then I'm thinking like 5 minutes later, you forgot the Air Force. And then we're going, do the FBI and the NSA. And then you'd come up with something for airport security or something. I didn't know what the heck's the acronym.
The traffic controllers are pretty, wigged out. The doctors and the lawyers and the tax accountants and the federal agents and,
It was so much fun. So, but actually this book is so relaxing. It's great for everybody. But tonight we're going to be talking more about random acts of kindness are changing the world. And what I did, I have a couple of patients, and towards the end of the show, I do invite people to call me and this and that for help if they have trouble with addictions, depression, alcohol abuse, or addiction to alcohol, because alcohol is a lethal drug. And for depression, PTSD, anxiety, whatever. So I have a couple of people that I do help at no charge. Oh, hold on a minute, please, because I gave an online challenge to them. Let's see who's this. Hello, welcome to the show. This is Dr. Marielle McKinley. You're listening to Conversations from the Couch with Dr. Marielle. Who's calling?
Hello, this is Karen Palmer.
Oh, well, hello, Karen Palmer. We have the TV host, Karen Palmer, on. The name of your show, Rosalyn just told me the full name, Global Acts of Kindness Gone Wild, or what is it? It's so cute.
It's Global Kindness Going Viral.
Oh, okay, gone wild. Global Kindness Gone Viral. Going viral. Going viral.
The name of my show is Global Kindness Going Viral, and the channel that it is Spirituality Gone Wild.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. I was looking you up today, and I saw the interview that you actually did on someone else's show, and you're very inspiring. And I understand Rosalyn's going to be on your show tomorrow. So how can people watch that?
We are live on Facebook, so we do a Facebook live stream on a channel called Spirituality Gone Wild.
Well, that's awesome. And what time? That'll be, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time in California?
That is, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard, 8 o'clock Eastern.
Excellent. Yeah, I have those times down, too, because when we do this show, like right now, it's after 11 on Eastern Standard Time. So, tell me what it is. Oh, and also, before we start talking about Rosalyn, I was thinking, because I was just talking before you called about an online challenge I'd given to a couple of my people that I help and stuff, and other people to do cyber acts of random kindness. And we have a winner of that challenge, and I wanted to continue like another challenge. So I thought that I would have you on my show sometime this month or in July, and I'll have Rosalyn Kahn, who is our special guest tonight. Rosalyn Kahn, author of Random Acts of Kindness Are Changing the World, and author of the brilliant, beautiful, inspiring, relaxing, soothing book that my mother is like the official spokesperson now for. She must have sold about 10 of them in a couple days. That is The Dogs and Roses. Brilliant book, her newest book. And Rosalyn is a world-renowned TED Talk public speaker, and she's a professor, and she's a motivator and an influencer. So I thought that I would have her guest star co-host, and we would interview you. So we'll talk about that later. So how did you meet Rosalyn? And she's on now if you want to say something to her.
Hi, Rosalyn.
Hey, sweetie, how you doing? So great to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's great to hear your voice. We actually met a couple years ago at it was called Rise, and it was a conference that we went to, and I can't remember her name. It was Ellie something. But the name of the conference was Rise.
Rise,
and,
the Rise Conference.
I met Rosalyn there, and then I kept in contact with her. Luckily, we exchanged business cards, and so I kept in contact, and I watched her journey, and it was a beautiful journey to watch. And so I reached out to her on LinkedIn to see if we could work together and accomplish twice as much kindness.
So, Rosalyn, and how did that? What is your experience with that?
Oh, that was just so awe-inspiring, because as a person in the world, and you're starting out your business, you never know the impact of what's going on. You send out these newsletters, and you go, I've got zillions of people on there, but does anybody really look? Does anybody really listen? And so on and so forth. So when I got that message from you, it was like, oh my God, someone is actually watching me. They know what's going on. And they always say there are more people watching you than you really know about. So when you had reached out to me and introduced me to the ambassador from Australia about being part of that movement, it was just like almost like the best thing that could happen to me. It was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful to be able to continue to spread that random acts of kindness. It is just huge. Beautiful.
Is there?
It was really exciting when I got to meet the founder of the World Kindness Movement. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary in November, And so I was at it was called the Kindness Evolution, and I'm one of the 30 national kindness leaders. We have a social media reach of over 30 million together. We're a collective of kindness. And I am a social media expert, so I am helping to organize all of our social media as a collaboration.
So, Rosalyn, you're involved with that too?
Yeah, just beginning to get involved with that. I'm really, really excited about that. And it's fun stuff. Never know what's happening around the corner.
Well, 30 million reach is quite impressive. We're definitely going to have you both on the show again. So is there anything else you want to say to Rosalyn before I start interviewing her some more? Karen?
Well, I just wish you the best of luck, and I'm so grateful that you're being who you are in the world, and I'm really excited to work together and, again, accomplish twice as much, reach more children, and really help to change the way that people see kindness and see that kindness is really strength and power. And when we come together with kindness in our intention, we really do change the world.
Well, that's a beautiful way to send us off, and we will definitely be in touch to have you on the show, and Rosalyn will be interviewing you with me. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
Karen.
you so much.
Karen Palmer, everybody. Okay, God bless you. Bye-bye.
God bless you too. Have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Say bye, Rosalyn.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that was Karen Palmer. Rosalyn's book, Random Acts of Kindness Are Changing the World. I was a book reviewer, a published book reviewer for, a couple decades. And my name is on the front cover of best-selling authors, back cover of nonfiction, like self-help and inspirational pieces. And I don't do it anymore unless it is for somebody that special, that I'm either trying to help, or somebody that their book is just really incredible. And because I've read, they used to send me hundreds of books, like for years, free books. I could just zip through them and say, well, this is, because I would never write a review, Rosalyn, unless it was something positive. Because I felt that I couldn't write. So that was my that was my intentional act of kindness, because I thought, well, who's to say whose art isn't going to help maybe one person? But since we were with a large published magazine and syndicated, that I just didn't feel it was my place to write critique. So I would really only write reviews for like the top excellent books. So when I was reading your book, I'm like, because I had read the original Random Acts of Kindness when the movement came out in the early beginning of the 21st century. And that was a worldwide huge phenomenon. And I was so excited that was still going on, because your book was published in 2014 and people can get it on Amazon, right, Rosalyn? They can get the Random Acts of Kindness.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are Changing the World on Amazon, and Dogs and Roses on Amazon. And anyway, I'm reading it. Rosalyn is like such a good writer that what is it, about 57 pages?
It's about 78.
Okay.
78. So,
I'm used to reading these hundreds of pages and stuff. I was still reading it all week because I was enjoying it so much that was for me, like how my mom just with Dogs and Roses book, and I love that book too. That's more of it's a different kind of book, and that's unprecedented, that book. But this book, it was so personal. I felt like I was enjoying and savoring reading it, because the way you write is, it went straight to my heart, and you're so descriptive in a almost like a signature writing style, I would say. I really would. And so I'm reading this book, and it was just incredible that she had Well, why don't you tell the story how you were teaching those students? What was it? English as a second language, or was it the public? You did it for both your classes. Or it doesn't really matter what class. She's a professor. She's worked at so many colleges, so we're not going to bring that into it. But in the book, there were some stories from her students or former students. So why don't you tell us about some of those stories, like one that sticks out to you, Rosalyn?
Well, there's one story that really stood out above the rest, and at the college I was at, I'll just say it was Santa Monica College, there was a student, and the book came from Tony Hsieh's book, Passion, Profits, and Purpose, and, you know, he said anybody wants to come out to the company to come and visit, and I visited them. And when I came back to my classroom, my students worked 35 hours a week and, you know, had lots of problems. And people drove hours and hours because the school of Santa Monica was so extremely high rated. And when I mentioned it to my students, I was in awe about the response and feedback. And there was one student, and we'll call him James, and James drove an hour away to get to school, and he talks about this experience at Starbucks. And he was, you know, he wasn't a girly girl. He was a manly man, and he comes up and he says, "You'll never believe this experiment. I went to Starbucks and I decided to leave some money behind and, you know, pay for the cars behind me. And never did I imagine when I came back, my buddy from the hockey team said there were 15 cars, one after the other, that basically paid for the next car in a row."
Wow.
He was like so blown away, and he says, "If this is just the first one, I wonder what's going to happen at the end of the semester."
Wow. Yeah, I remember that story. That I didn't realize it was 15 cars. That's incredible. There was another story about a lady she'd done some other act of kindness, and she had a hard time receiving, and she was at the store and had tried to put in $25 of groceries and realized, oh gosh, you know, she didn't have enough money, and she put some back, and then when she looked in her wallet, there was like $1. And what was the lady in front of her? What happened?
The lady in front of her said, "It's okay, here, it's my treat. Let me go ahead and get them for you." And she was just so blown away. And I don't know if this was the same lady, but she just came back to the classroom, and it was like, never in my life has this ever something like this happened to me. And, you know, in my country, nobody ever would have done this for me. And there was another student, this was a class of international students, who just got so into it that she took her Thanksgiving dinner and she went out and bought little containers of foods, and then went in her house, and it was cold that night, and she brought down coats and jackets for the people, and it was just so awe-inspiring. Just really touching, amazing stories.
One of the stories was somebody had actually set up like a school in their, or a nonprofit agency, or maybe that's two different stories in their country.
No, okay, so that was the same guy. So his story number 2 was, it's St. Patty's Day, and it's like Sadie Hawkins Day or something like that, some holiday, and he's all dressed up with torn jeans and a straw hat, and, you know, like straw coming out of his mouth, and he sees these senior citizens by the side of the freeway, and one's hanging over the car, and the other's waving furiously, and they're like, "Oh my God, Sonny, can you help drive it? Push us to the side of the road. Our car broke down, and they want to set him up with this girl." And no, I'm just helping you out, doing a random act of kindness, and it was amazing. They just couldn't get over how nice this kid was. And the third story, he was at this restaurant he works at, and this couple comes in, and this disheveled kids with mud on their shirt and safety pins putting the shoelaces together, and just a royal mess, and stunk. And they come in, and they're like begging, "Can we just have some food? We're just really, really hungry." And he says, "I go outside and I'll see what I can do." And he goes out and brings them some food, and the owner says, "Well, let's put a sign up that we feed the homeless." And, you know, he's jumping up and down as he tells the story. And then 2 weeks later, he sees the guy comes up in a business suit, and he says, "My kids and I were eating out of trash cans. I wanted to teach them a story. And when you open up the cupboards, you need to celebrate that there's food in there. There's clear water that runs out of the faucet. And because of what you've done for us, I'm going to open up a foundation to help the homeless people based on your just charitable being." And who would have ever thought, just because I wrote a book of random acts of kindness, that a foundation would have been started to feed the homeless? I mean, it's unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
It truly is. And, it's like, especially like, well, everybody says it in this day and age, but it does seem to be, that the more successful that a lot of people get and so forth and so on. I don't know what it is about the air, and I'm not talking politics, okay, because we don't talk politics on the show, but it just seems that there is just so much, like, that can be done out there if people would consider, okay, having a random act of kindness, or like almost like a post-hypnotic suggestion I'm going to give to the audience right now. If you're at the store, okay, and if you're somebody that, and everybody has their, I don't like to use the word prejudices, but there are a lot of people that are prejudiced against, and they don't even think that they are. They can be prejudiced against, intolerant to other religions, to other races, to people of different sexes, people that are transgender, people that may be homosexual, or that any people that are fat, people that are skinny, people that don't dress this way, people that are this political party, that political party, people. It's getting out of hand. And I would just like to invite you, and so would Rosalyn Kahn, the author of Random Acts of Kindness Are Changing the World. I would like to invite you to, before that comment comes out of your mouth, even if it's gossip to somebody under your breath, to say, oh, look at that homeless person or whatever, to right now, okay, I'm going to tell you, like a post-hypnotic suggestion, that like an alarm clock will go off in your head before that comes out of your mouth, and just say the opposite thing, or just don't say it at all, and then go do a random act of kindness, an anonymous act of kindness even, for that person or somebody of that group of people that you are intolerant to. And because everybody is a hypocrite, and it's just different levels of it. And we're all, it's spiritual progress, not spiritual perfection. We're all human beings, and we all have bad days. Let somebody, especially here in LA, huh, Rosalyn?
Oh my God, traffic.
Yeah, let somebody in front of you, and don't flip them off. It's like it's kind of like a domino effect. Like when somebody says something negative to somebody, or something hurtful, apologize if you say it. I'm going to give you that post-hypnotic suggestion too. And, but there's going to be people out there, ooh, she's a hypnotherapist. No, I'm not. I was trained in it about 20 years ago, but I'm not. I'm using that just as a terminology. So they're going to say, oh, well, that has to do with hypnotherapy. Forget it. So I forgive you in advance, because it doesn't. But it doesn't matter if it did, really. So I would just say that, like, to see red flags going off in your head when you're thinking these thoughts, or when you're ready to say something, and then go do the opposite. Okay? So, it's like dominoes. Somebody, is angry in line, and they're taking forever, and everybody's angry. You don't know if that lady behind the cash register has been beaten by her husband and might want to go home and commit suicide. Okay? So just saying something nice to that lady. Okay? And you might not like this or that about the person, because I hear it all the time. Say something nice, because that smile you give them, or that nice, sincere compliment, it can literally prevent that person from going over the edge and changing their day. And then when they're on their way home, they may let somebody in front of them, which might change that guy's day. He might be going home to kill his wife. We don't know. It is a domino effect. We're one little act of kindness. Anonymous, random, intentional. And I'd like to say, let's do intentional acts of kindness as well, for the intentional people, the spiritually evolved people. And for no matter how spiritual or high that your vibration is, or what a great, Christian you are, or Muslim, or Jew, or whatever your religion, or what a great atheist you are, that let's all up our game. Let's start to forgive somebody that we really might feel that we have self-righteous anger towards, because that can help you. It's like drinking your own poison when you're holding on to resentments. So, Rosalyn, what do you think about like that domino type of effects? Tell me what you've seen with your students, at your public speaking engagements. I mean, TEDx, the TED Talks, that is huge. That is a huge, huge platform. That's probably like the largest public speaking platform on the planet for the last.
Oh no,
it's
pretty amazing. I mean, like I always say, one random act of kindness really leads to the next. And as the students went ahead and told their stories, it inspired them to go out and do more and more good. And it's interesting. You're talking about my students, and all the talks I gave were oriented towards students. The first one was called "Language Comes to Life," and it was about taking my students to the theater and how it changed the way they learned English. I mean, that was amazing, and she talks about the volunteer work they did because I had them go out and do service learning, and she was handing out Bibles to homeless people, and here she is in a class of international students, and she's saying, I've never met 16 people from one place in my whole entire life, and because of some political uproar, they wouldn't sign the paperwork. She ended up with this other program, and they were teaching English to kids, and they were doing, as I was telling your mom, video productions, but teaching the kids to write, creating videos.
Oh, that's right. Tell us about that.
And she invited all the students out to her class, and there was one Asian guy who said, I learned this perfect thing about parenting, and another one said, I found a great book for my kids and learned about different cultures, and it was just like she really opened it up, and then I ended up giving her getting a scholarship for her, and she wanted to actually work with the same people and bringing them into society, and later on she changed her career, and she wanted to be an artist, and so I helped her get a scholarship, and she invited me out to one of her art exhibits, and, it's amazing. And then what was really funny is, there's a picture on the back of my book of Dogs and Roses at a beauty pageant, and one of my students who was in my class comes up to me at this place in Hollywood and says, did you ever come out with that book? Remember that book that you were doing on random acts of kindness? I'm like, oh my God. The world goes in full circle.
Speaking of the beauty pageant thing, I'm really honored to be honoring or representing my country of origin, Ireland, as Mrs. Ireland 2018 for the Mrs. Europe Global Pageant 2018, which is part of the Miss, Mrs. and Miss Teen Asia USA. It's the 30th anniversary, Virgilia Productions. The theme for that is unity through diversity. And it's so cool, Rosalyn, because, this is our winner. The winner of the online cyber challenge. Hold on.
God.
Hello, congratulations. Is this Teal Dunray? Oops, I didn't have it on speakerphone. Oops, hold on. Teal, I do know it's you. I gotta put you on speakerphone. Hello, congratulations. You've been chosen. You won the online cyber challenge for creating the Stop Cyber Stalking and Cyberbullying. Wait, what is it? I'm so sorry. I got messed up there with my ADHD. I didn't have the speakerphone. Tell everybody the group that you set up. And that's one of the reasons you won.
Stop cyberbullying and hacking.
Stop Cyberbullying and Cyber Hacking group on Facebook. That is so incredible. So you won. And Rosalyn Kahn, our special guest tonight, the world-renowned speaker, Professor Rosalyn Kahn, author of Random Acts of Kindness Are Changing the World, and the amazing Dogs and Roses book, which I know you love that too. She's buying one, by the way. Anyway, you won the book that she's doing her Random Act of Kindness and giving away this book, the Random Acts of Kindness Are Changing the World book, for setting up that group. And also we gave a challenge for people to get online and to like if a person was used to, doing one type of behavior online, we would have them, okay, you can only talk about the other person. Reach out to people that you might not normally talk to. Say something sincere and nice about that person or their post, no matter what it is, and don't make it about yourself. And then we had somebody else that was just doing it. This contest is still going to. Oh, and we decided to extend it as well, because we are having Rosalyn as a guest star co-host when we have Karen Palmer, the TV host of, what is it called again, her show, Rosalyn?
Her show is called Spirituality Gone Wild.
No, it's called Global Acts. It's called Global something.
Global Acts of Kindness.
Yeah, it's called Global Acts of Kindness Gone Viral, not Gone Wild.
It's quite a mouthful.
Isn't that funny, Teal? And Teal set that up with another lady, Dina Guffey. And but you called first, so you get the book. But Dina, don't fret because we're extending the challenge, and I want to challenge everybody, and so would Rosalyn, and so would you, I'm sure, Teal, to do these things online and see what a reaction you'll get. See what positive feedback. And it's kind of proven that, well, it is scientific that every time somebody presses a like, or if you have an iPhone and you put congratulations, it goes bling, and all these balloons come up, and, it does hit that part of the brain, the dopamine receptor, that is the addiction spot. So let's just program our brains in a positive way. And Teal, tell us just give your message and what you've learned. And some of the posts she has are incredible. Tell us anything that stands out to you or the people that you've worked with.
The main thing is treat everyone how you would want to be treated. Just because someone may be different than you, for example, you wouldn't mistreat a couple that is a man and a woman. So treat your same-sex couple friends the same way you would treat a regular couple, because we're all the same and everyone deserves to be treated equal.
And yeah, we were just saying that earlier in the show about any, prejudice or preconceived or intolerance or just judgment, because we're all human beings and we are programmed to judge all that. And there are so many spiritually enlightened people out there, and I'm asking those people to up their game and intentionally do acts of kindness, do anonymous acts of kindness, random acts. Let's make this a even bigger global movement than the 30 million platform that these people have, that Rosalyn and Karen and them have. So, I was looking at one of the posts, Rosalyn, that she'd put on there, and it was about a woman committed suicide because she was cyber raped. Can you tell us what some of the things you might have learned from some of the people in the group that might have changed some online behavior, and your own, and some of the research that you've done about what cyberbullying actually is?
Well, for an example, cyberbullying is if you tell someone, I'm going to be doing this at this time, so please don't message me, and they send you 35 messages at one time saying, I'm going to kill myself, or I'm done, or something like that. And an example of cyber rape is with my friend. She sent pictures to her boyfriend that should have been between the two of them, and he spread them all over the internet. That is an example of cyber rape.
Wow. And you were telling me in the private group something about somebody that was going to post a video or something. They wanted some legal help?
Yeah. My friend was looking for some legal help. What was the name of that lawyer that you suggested that I tell her to get a hold of?
Are you talking about, which lawyer? Is this the person that you were telling me about, or what?
Yes.
You mean the lawyer that I said on the show before, or the other lawyer, or which one?
The one that you've said on the show before.
Oh, okay. The criminal lawyer. That would be, yes. Yeah, okay. So your friend must be here in the San Fernando Valley. That would be the San Fernando court expert, Avand Naderi. And you can get in touch with him. It's Avand, A-V-A-N-D, Naderi, N-A-D-E-R-I. He's an expert. And for certain types of cases, you do need an expert. And you can get in touch with him at wehatejail@hotmail.com. wehatejail@hotmail.com. We were also chatting about somebody that was another online kind of a crime, and they were threatening somebody or something with some naked video or something like that.
Yeah, that was the article that you were telling Rosalyn about. The girl sent the naked video to her boyfriend that was between them performing sexual acts, and he spread it around to his friends, and his friends were messaging her with threats of coming after her, raping her. And
so even if they're just threatening to do something, I recently found out that's like, because I thought, this isn't cyberbullying or that isn't, and somebody said that they were like, they posted something with somebody's names on it or something, and they were saying, I've called the police and this and that. I thought, don't worry about that. Somebody calling the police, they're going to think the person's crazy because somebody that was named in it, Rosalyn, had contacted me, and I'm like, don't, and then through this group and the research that Teal and Dina did, we discovered that that's even it's not just like a federal civil crime. It's like you do go to the police if somebody is threatening you online or on a text message, threatening to release something that they're saying they have, even if they don't have it. If they're threatening you, that's a felony. If they're there's all kinds. So this criminal lawyer, Avand Naderi, you have any of those issues, and you're out here in the San Fernando Valley, in the San Fernando Court District, definitely call him. This man's becoming an expert on that kind of stuff. We were finding out also about codes that you can tell if you're hacked, who's tracking you. And, I don't think anybody should go to jail or prison unless they've murdered somebody or raped somebody or whatnot, because I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. However, I realized that through some of the stuff that we're discovering, how people can hack you, like, it's unbelievable. And I've been hacked. I was hacked for about 3 years. It stopped ever since I got in touch with the guy that, Rosalyn, him, the guy that worked for the NSA and the Homeland Security. I'm not going to say his name here, but he did tech security for them. We'll talk about it later. He's going to be on the show this summer for his book, Getting Away from Washington, D.C. But you've met him at a couple events. Anyway, since then, and getting my passwords back and stuff, it's slowed down, but there are some signs it's still going on that we're going to get restraining orders on this and cease and desist letters, because I don't want to be sending people to prison and all. Now, if the city attorney or I guess it's the Department of Justice, right, Rosalyn, that you go to for that, and the FBI for the federal crimes, but there are local crimes that it all involves. So I don't like that kind of negativity and going after people. I'm not into that. However, it's been so extensive, and it is now, with young girls killing themselves, adult women killing themselves, men killing themselves. People that get busted for it have committed suicide. So,
right.
Yeah. So, Rosalyn, did you ever have any students or anything that were experiencing any bullying or even as a teacher, have you experienced it?
I had some students who were at one of the colleges that, it was a guy and a girl in the class, and I was more concerned than the people at the school were. And, I knew that it was going on. And the relationship was verbally abusive, and he was very jealous because she had gotten a higher grade than him. And
oh, wow.
he went off in the quad, and she was down there, and there were some students gathered around as he's yelling, and the police just go ahead and send her home with him. And I stopped the police on the way, and he's like, she's 18 years old. We can't do anything. and it's a horrific thing. And then I had a thing that I written on my syllabus, if there's anything that you need to know to tell me about, and that put my life in danger because I reported something of someone who was almost suicidal, and that was pretty darn scary.
Is that when you had the police protection and all that? I mean, if you don't want to go into it, I understand, because I know that some things were omitted from the book.
Right. There was a situation where I had a student who wrote some things that he was doing and this, that, and the other, and I was on police protection at all three of my schools, and then I've been at the schools when there was the killings and this, that, and the other. Education has changed in the 20 years I've been there. We go back to the 20 years of teaching in where random acts of kindness, came out, and I was around when Columbine started. And to be here now, I was just speaking at my high school and said, it's amazing that we turn the tables of time, that it's students out in Florida who are the ones who are speaking out that have grown up against it, that are now being the voices of getting government and Democrats and Republicans to put down their weapons and say, hey, there's something that we really need to do. So it's awful, but, if we go, I remember in a inner city high school I was teaching, this kid was talking about how she was bullied, and their mother said, just what you and I are saying is to say nice things to him.
Yeah, kill them with kindness, really. Do the opposite.
Yeah, there's even this guy, Chris Weiss, who was on a friend of mine's show, Vero Cruz, Via Inspiración. You're the inspiration, and she was saying how he had this person who threatened him, and he just came back to him with love. And if you just treat people with love, it's amazing what goes ahead and happens. And how the world goes ahead and changes. Okay, yeah, my friend has tried calling several times.
Maybe the 800 number wasn't forwarded then. I don't know. I did ask you to give my cell just in case as a plan B, because there's 1-800 number, and so it's forwarded for the different shows. Well, we'll have your friend call during the show that we do when we have you guest star co-host, because it is, unless you want to text my number, but it is, about 11 more minutes of our show. And it is, and we do get deeper on the second half of the show. We do, because this is not just about, famous people like yourself and public figures. We do that part because the public figures are what draws the people into the show. And that's why I love to have somebody like you with a great message like this from the get-go. And in the second half, it is an advice type show, and we do, encourage people to call, and that's why we're having these contests and everything. Like, one girl won a script from a director that had directed Eric Roberts, and it happened to be her birthday, and she was disclosing about feeling suicidal, and everybody was opening up that the actors were on that show, and how they had gone through that, so it took the stigma away. And she won a script with a autograph from the director. So, yeah, we get that way towards the second half of the show. And it is such a passion of mine, you guys, about this online random acts of kindness and positive behavior. And parents model that positive behavior. And also, it's just been too many people because of online bullying, and some people don't even realize that it's bullying, or they don't realize. So sometimes it's real intentional and targeted, and sometimes it's not. That if an adult is going to be suicidal or try to commit suicide because of some misperception online or some real perception online, imagine how teenagers and adolescents, girls and boys, and young people, and elementary school, how they'll feel because they didn't get enough likes on something, or that somebody said to them, you look fat in that, or they call them by some type of a racial slur or a insulting slur of any kind. Because you can't, when you're on a lot of the social media platforms, it's beautiful that you can reach out to people around the world. But there are always going to be, those people out there that want to some people think it's funny. Okay? They really do. It's immaturity. And we send love to them. But to these kids, can you imagine? I know that suicide is like the biggest thing that kills our teenagers over anything, even drunk driving. I just can't. I'm so grateful I'm not raising a kid right now. But I just want people to be so aware of that. So that's why we're challenging you all. And if you do have any issues of any kind that relate to this particular subject, or that relate to being depressed for whatever reason, or your meds aren't working, or you have PTSD, for our vets, or PTSD people can be victims or survivors, can also be people that are in recovery from addiction or alcoholism because of the things that they go through when they're in their disease, especially women, the kinds of things that happen just for that culture, or just from being maybe in a blackout or whatnot. It is traumatizing. And so people in recovery, a lot of people, I'd say, that's why people relapse. There's been studies done, and it's kind of like the collective consciousness. In like 1988, I had this theory that people couldn't stay sober. They relapsed between 3 to 5 years of sobriety, 10-year marks, 15-year marks, 20, 25 years. Why?
Wow.
They worked their steps. They're doing this or that. Outside issues weren't addressed. Well, usually it's PTSD, and then the collective consciousness. All the famous addictionologists at the same time had come up with that same theory, and we're speaking on it. So and now it's proven. So because and judging people that are in recovery or that have an addiction or an alcoholism or any type of addiction, that's judging. It's like judging somebody that has cancer. It's a disease.
Right.
It's an illness. It's not about being a bad person. So I commend people that can call me, and because I will offer you help for free. Okay,
yeah,
I will.
He says there's a voicemail message that says, "Thank you for calling. Please leave a message and your call will be returned."
Pardon me?
This person's sending you, I guess he's tried to call you, but it said leave a message.
Oh, they called when it was, I don't know who it was that was calling. Yeah. It was not my 800 number, and that was a couple hours ago, and I had to do that thing that you press a button, it says, I'm sorry, I can't talk right now, because we were being interrupted on our sound check. So, back to the subject matter. So we have about 5 more minutes. Is there anything else that you want to say, Teal?
I just want to tell Rosalyn that I commend her for her random acts of kindness and for being a wonderful author. I've heard nothing but good things about her books, and she inspires me to write my book.
She inspired me to write mine too.
It's so beautiful. I so much appreciate that, Teal, and I'd love to find out about the project so I can follow what you're doing, because it sounds like you're changing the world in so many wonderful ways. And I so much appreciate you being the winner. And we want to.
You're cutting out for some reason. Are you there, Rosalyn?
Yeah.
Okay. So go on. You cut out a little bit.
Oh, I was just thanking her for the wonderful world things that she was doing, and look forward to connecting with her afterwards to follow the wonderful work that she's doing. And she's a winner. Woohoo!
Yay! And thank you for that book that you're donating to her. And
yes.
Yeah. It's when we're talking about all of this, there's a book that somebody else wrote called let's see, is it Power versus Force? Have you guys heard of that book?
No.
Okay.
I haven't.
Yeah, it's a really well-known book that Wayne Dyer started promoting because Wayne Dyer, he was a friend of mine before he passed away. We've known him since the early 21st century, about 2001. And he every year would promote somebody's book when he was doing his huge tours and all. And even on his PBS fundraisers, he would always bring a new author. So that book was out years ago, and I keep hearing about it all the time. And it's about the energy of like from shame, guilt, in the how it vibrates. Okay, so when you get up to the energy of love, which is like 500 on that scale, and then enlightenment is 1,000. That at the energy of love, that one person being at the energy of love can affect 750,000 people, their consciousness. So imagine, like what Teal's doing, what you're doing, Rosalyn, and hopefully what we're doing right now, how, like with the three of us, with this energy of love online. Okay, thank you, Jimmy. Imagine how many millions of people we can affect. So we got to wrap up the show. Rosalyn Kahn, you can get her books on Amazon. That's Rosalyn, R-O-S. How do you spell your first name, hon?
Rosalyn. Last name is Kahn.
And her last name is Kahn. That's Rosalyn Kahn. And she's the author of Dogs and Roses and Random Acts of Kindness Are Changing the World. Find her on Amazon, Facebook, on my page, Dr. Marielle McKinley, and call me if you need some help. We love you. Bye, everybody. Bye. Thank you, Rosalyn.